Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Doug versus the Machine. This is the second session out of 8 that I'll be doing this month in June. We're going to talk about, I'm going to go up against AI, and we'll see if folks have questions. If not, I've got plenty of things to go through. Today, we're going to talk about build me a dashboard with AI, and just to let you know, this whole session, it's definitely it's a three. It's kind of three things, right? It's a live demo. It's really it's office hours that you can ask me anything, and it's going to be vibe coding in a sense of I have some ideas, and but what I'm really hoping is that folks, I know a few of you have joined, saw what I did the other day, and if you have questions from then, or you have questions about what I'm doing here, or you want to see me try something, just drop it in the chat. Also, I've got after today, there'll be 6 other ones I'll be doing the rest of this month, every Tuesday and Thursday, same time, same place. So if you want to come back, each one of them are going to be different. I'm going to talk about how AI writes things, and you can watch how it writes. We'll do some stuff like what the prompt, and context is king. So I will also the recordings, if you can get them over here, if you head over to my YouTube channel, uh, find the subscribe button, hit the notify bell, and you'll know when I post this one and the other ones that I'm going to come up with over the month of June. I also put out other videos. Like here, you can see I put out one the other day, exactly what we're going to talk about today. GitHub Copilot agent built this dashboard from a CSV. We'll touch on that a bit. But you can check out those videos and a whole bunch of other ones I put out. And I put out these meetups and these live streams. And I'm planning a live stream in July to kind of do a wrap up of all these that I'm talking about now, but with a different twist. And so whatever new comes up between now and then with all the big announcements that are coming. Question for me, Doug, are you going to upload the series to YouTube? Yes. I'll be uploading the 2 from this week by this weekend. And then, yeah, everyone that I do, I will record and upload to YouTube. And it'll be in a playlist called, Doug versus the Machine. Awesome. Thanks for asking. Let's see. So let's see what we got here. All right. Get this straightened out. So let's start really quick, I guess. So I'm going to be playing with ChatGPT and Gemini today. So on ChatGPT, I pay $20 a month for the Plus subscription. Highly recommend it. They actually just announced, I guess yesterday or 2 days ago, they now can connect to Google Drive, Dropbox, Linear, and then they have an entire set of connectors that you can look at to connect to your email and your calendars, whether it's Gmail or Outlook. They can connect to HubSpot and a whole bunch of other ones. They didn't write those. The respective companies wrote those. So they're beginning to get an entire market that can connect to what they're doing. And once you connect one of those sources, you can then start chatting with those sources. Like I have one that's set up that hooks up to my GitHub, and I can actually chat with the code that I build. And they're just coming through with a lot more. It's only June, and it's going to be really interesting the rest of the month. So I won't be showing that today, but I'm going to use ChatGPT, and then Google Gemini has theirs. I won't use Grok, but Grok has also. Now, I don't know if I pay for this. I think they all have free versions, and you get the same exact thing. The only difference is that maybe, I don't know what the limits are. Like maybe you get 10, you can post 10 questions an hour or 10 a day, and then it gets reset. So that's, but you can experience, on Grok, like all the deep search, the think capabilities, the connecting the different pieces, the same thing with Google, and the same thing with ChatGPT. So even though you see me doing this with GPT, you'll be able to get to all of the good pieces as well. So we're talking about dashboards. So let me get into. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go in and take a look at. I have some employee data, and we're going to. I have it in JSON format. Let me just close all these out. Don't need that. And I'm going to take a look at this file here. Now, if you're not a developer, you're not familiar with this kind of stuff, that's fine. I'm going to be showing JSON today, but all these different platforms can handle things like CSV files. It can handle binary formats like XLSX and knows how to crack them open and work with them. Now, on the free tier, I'm not sure if they support all those different ones, but they do support it on the paid tiers. So depending on what you're trying to do, and then the more you pay, the more options you get, obviously, for what you can connect to. So right now, I'm going to just take a look at this JSON data, right? Very simple. It is basically simple. It's a company name, and it has a bunch of departments. Engineering lists out a bunch of employees for each department, and it gives a name, a role, their salary, and whether or not they're remote. So I'm just going to copy the exact. I'm not even going to do it based on a file. I'm not going to upload a file. I'm just going to paste that data in. So a lot of times when I'm working with this kind of stuff, I just paste the data in. I don't even click around my drive. So here we are. We're going to go into ChatGPT, and what we're going to see, I'm also going to paste it into Gemini. We're going to press enter, and this is for a bunch of different reasons. I like to see what the models do, see what the different UX experiences are, and think of your questions of like what kind of dashboards you want to do. We've got about another 15, 20 minutes, and then we're going to be finished. So you can ask me questions. So I just pasted the data in and I pressed enter, and then it figured out a bunch of things. It said, okay, hey, maybe you want a department-wise headcount. Do you want a salary by department? And how about a remote office distribution? So 50% of them, everybody's half and half. It's all half and half, remote and office. And then at the end, it gives me some information. Let's see what Gemini did. So Gemini comes up and says, so it parsed out or figured out all the data. I didn't have to tell it about JSON. I didn't have to load libraries. I didn't have to do anything. I just dropped the data in and I went. Additionally, if I gave it the actual file, so if I clicked on, plus and I clicked on upload files, I can navigate to that JSON file. I can navigate and I can select multiple files. Maybe you have something like customer orders and shipping information in 3 different files. You can actually then select all of those. You can actually select all of those. And when you do, it will actually look at all 3 of them and off to the races. Lars says, include speculative date of departure based on work from home. Excellent question. So Lars wants to ask, when are you going to be leaving? Is that voluntarily or involuntarily? So here I am in Google. I'm going to just post in that question, either. I'm sorry, I can't fulfill the provided data does not include information about employees' ages. Oh, there you go. Oh, I don't have any. Oh, I thought you were asking. Okay, let's do it based on work from home and salary. So is this what you think Microsoft did the other day? And we'll paste this in on both. So Gemini does the nice safe move, says I can't do that. The predictions would be highly unreliable. And but GPT comes in and says, all right, I'm going to give you a date range when you're going to be leaving. Here we go, 2029 and 20. So a couple of people can be leaving in a couple of years. So there you go. And that's pretty cool, right? So now I'm going to do this one more time, and I'm going to take the same data. So you can see I just dropped the data in, and you get some basics, right? And let's go a little deeper. what I'm going to do is I'm going to recopy this data, and I'm going to create another ChatGPT session. I'm going to paste it in, and up top, I'm going to say, wait for my prompt. Let's see what it does. We might just go ahead, but hopefully not. Got it. Ready when you are. Go ahead and drop the prompt. So I'm already in a conversation, right? And often when I say wait for my prompt, or I'll say something like be brief, things like that. Sometimes it gets too verbose, or I'll say be brief, wait till I ask for deeper explanations. So you're actually having a conversation, even though it's a machine, right? This is not a toaster. This is artificial intelligence. And this stuff, what I'm doing here is I'm actually steering, through prompts, I'm steering what I want the model to do. So with that, I have some, so maybe I have some questions in my head. I haven't even looked at the data, and I'll say, maybe I'll ask something like, I think more folks, uh, and I don't have to spell it correctly, right? So more folks work from home, right? So it's going to figure out. There you go. So even though I spelled it wrong, it knows how to predict what my sentence is going to be. It fixes it. WFH knows how to expand that. And it comes back and says, yep, I think that's wrong though. 7 of 12 employees are remote. I thought it was 50-50. And so what I'm going to do is say, double check. Oh, we're going to get a whole 9 yards. Oh, and we're going to do it by department. You're right. To check. I overcounted. So luckily I knew some of the data. Why I did that, I'm not sure. And then again, I just dropped in the JSON straight away. And if I say something like show in a table, hopefully it might just show the remote. Nope, it's going to show everything. Now, sometimes at this point, when you see this kind of thing, oh yeah, it's just going to do that. All the data. It will actually kick. Oh, so now it's going to do everything, just what I want. So now sometimes when you do that, what it's done is it kicks in the analyzer, which is the code interpreter, where it writes an actual Python program. So the data is going to be a little more accurate. So this is kind of the stuff, by interacting this way, you can get to um, a real intuitive sense of what's going on. So I'm going to come back down here. We're going to do one more. We're going to actually do a page. Going to grab this long file name, and I can see if I can do it with Grok. It looks like they're updating to 3.5, but let's see what we're doing. I'm going to upload a file. Let's just double check that. And I'm going to grab my sales CSV, right? Now, when I drop a sales CSV, and some folks may have seen me do this, I can do something like Grok goes up and says, hey, I'm going to give you a button because I know it's CSV, so I'm going to assume that's data that you want to get a report on. So I'm going to click on report, and off Grok goes. It reads the attachment, and it tells me it's going to create a comprehensive report, and it starts going through steps to create a report. Now, what's interesting is I've actually copied this whole thing on the right-hand side as is, and I've then gave it to ChatGPT, and I've said, take this set of steps and run them every time I give you a CSV. And it does a really amazing job to get close to what I want. But this is what we're looking at now, the new things coming out called workflows, right? So that you can have a graph of sequential steps. And awesome. So, yep, today we're having some challenges. So I get a tailwind problem when it's trying to create the document. So I'm going to grab that error, and then I'm going to drop it in straight away. See if we can get this to behave a little better. And while we're doing that, I'm going to go back over to ChatGPT. Now, this is the whole thing with some of these things. Usually, I don't have any of these kind of issues. But I'm going to jump back over to ChatGPT, pull in the sales thing, and I'm going to say create an interactive HTML page. And I'm going to say single, because I don't want it to, usually it likes to break things up. Single HTML page. And I want it to embed the data, because sometimes it tries to read the data from a file, which is good. But let's see what we get. So now notice it's kicking off the analyzing. That's actually kicking off a Python sandbox, and it's going to actually write up a Python piece, and it's going to do a whole bunch of stuff, and hopefully it gets better results. Let's see. And now we can see that Grok came back with stuff. That's not usually how good it looks. Usually it's really a nicely laid out React interactive type piece. And today it's just, like I said, I think they're upgrading to 3.5. And what's interesting is this is the web page, but if you're using it through the API, because you pay as you go with the API, that is much more dependable, so to speak. And I don't no sense to getting into the hallucinations versus dependability. But what I'm trying to show here is how quickly you can actually move through data. And usually it's a lot more forgiving. Okay, so now it gave it to me in a dashboard that I can download it, but I want to say use Canvas. And they all have this Canvas capability now, which is it becomes, you can lay out this kind of HTML, you can lay out Python code. It's limited to HTML and Python. And then as you can see up in the top right, this data doesn't look that good, so it's not going to work either. So you're seeing live demos, right? Answer in chat instead. And so what it did was it created some basic stuff. So for some reason, there's a lot of issues today with getting Tailwind and Plotly min.js, which is trying to resolve. Oh, what's it doing? We got a console. So, usually this is really flawless. Embed the data. And what's really interesting, I think, is if I come back down here into Visual Studio Copilot, I'm in agent mode. I'm using Claude Sonnet. Let me say, create an interactive HTML page. Now I'm showing like 3 or 4 environments. Embed the data. And I'm gonna throw the word React in here this time. This will take a little longer. Let's see if we have any more luck with this. Now I'm using GitHub Copilot, right? And I'm using the agent mode. And if you're into IDEs and whatnot, and you hook up all this good stuff, you could use Cursor AI, you could use Windsurf. There's a bunch of other ones you can try out. And we can see that it's showing us the plan it's going through, right? So it read the employee JSON. It's going to check if there's any more data because it's actually looking at my workspace that I'm in and the other files that I have. So it also found sales CSV, right? Because that's over here in this directory. Oh, and it's going to create, looks like it wants to create a, yep, it's going to create an entire set of files and in dashboard, in source, and in components. So it might actually have to try to pull down some NPM stuff. So we go back over to, so here we go. It's a little better, right? So I said to make it interactive, and then ChatGPT said, okay, they aren't updating the models. They're updating the personalities. So these are some of the challenges you get in the ChatGPT web interface. Again, when you go straight to the API, it doesn't have, they let you know when things roll out, and you can choose to pick to go to the latest one or not. Anyway, so it took the data from the sales data I gave it, the CSV, and it created a table, and it did a couple of charts. I don't know why I did it this way with black, but it's fine. Units versus price. And then I can even come here and say things like, I think the West region had the most units. Now, each one of these regions have more than one state. So the model has to now look at the data. I guess I got it right. So it has to look at the data, and it knows, if it figure out that there's a Texas and a Virginia for the West. My data is not correct because I just played around with it. But anyway, so, and then it actually does a summation of it, right? And I can maybe say add a revenue column and see if it comes up and multiplies the price by whatnot. So I can ask all kinds of questions. I can ask it to modify the data in what I'm seeing, and then when I'm all done with what happens, what it actually displays, um, I can then ask it to create a download file for me, right? So of all the new, so when this updates and the new table now includes calculated units by price. That's awesome. And there we see it. And now I can actually download this HTML page. I can deliver it through another mechanism. I can give it to my team. I can put it back in GitHub, whatever I want to do with it. Or I can just be playing around doing what if analysis. But the broader picture is that by using it and by asking questions, and you can actually ask it to, again, download the files, put it in this. I can say, hey, you know what? Make this not an HTML, but make it turn all the pictures into JPEGs, and then make a markdown file for it, and then give me a zip file that I can use locally. Cool. So it looks like Grok is struggling, right? And it tried to do some things with filtering and whatnot. Usually this is a really beautiful report. When you say create report, it comes up with a really nice reactive. So I'm not sure if it's my environment or them, but that's fine. Let's go back and see what happened here, if anything. So we created a bunch of things and it's still working. So it's actually building out an entire application. And we see it's going to create a department salary chart JS and a remote work JS. So sometimes it takes, it's not an instantaneous thing because it's actually working across many different things, right? So it's creating a source directory. It's building components because I asked it for React. Maybe I should have asked for React. And it's building JavaScript for all the different pieces. We're going to get some CSS. And here's all our wonderful things that we need for it to make this thing run. So it's really stepping through, doing a lot of heavy lifting. And again, this is usually a little bit better than just using the web because I am using Copilot for this. So it's got different levels of agents. It's got different special sauce to make this stuff really sing. So we're coming up on 1 p.m. Any questions or things like, Lars is coming back. Oops. Any questions I could ask chat about the data or things that you're working with or you'd like to see or had some thoughts coming into this live stream about dashboards, AI, prompting? Hope this was useful or gave you a little insight into how to use these things. Or I can just try out some prompts that you would not normally do or don't have access to these different models and these different UXs. Any MCP components you should recommend? Hey, Kevin, how are you? Wow, that's how MCP help here? Good question. So everybody's interested in MCPs. Help where? Like in just particularly in building dashboards? Or just in general, like what? Yeah, MCPs are great. And if I come back over into GitHub, GitHub Copilot. So I'm in agent mode down here. There's a little configuration tool. And what comes with GitHub Copilot are all these MCPs, okay? And I've even built my own MCPs, right? And there's even ones for Jupyter Notebook. Yeah, there's an entire, I don't know if there's an entire market now that they're building that Microsoft is and many others where they're have a public registry of where you can actually go and pull these down. And pretty much every company on the planet are building MCPs. So yes, for building dashboards, I don't have any one particular that I would say to use, but I would go to the MCP registry and I would look around to see what fits what you're trying to do, right? Are you trying to build a dashboard in Excel? Are you trying to build a dashboard in HTML? Are you trying to make it interactive with purely JavaScript? Right? So, right, those are all considerations that you have to think about. So there's nothing one particular, but Yeah, the MCP market is gonna it is exploding and it will continue to explode. So it'll become a whole new thing that we as users of these systems that need to start figuring out. And again, you know, is there any one that you would use? That's it's up to your personal taste. Like again, it's like which model do you use? I try to use the best model that's available to me, and then sometimes using Sonnet 3.7 is better for writing, whereas Sonnet 3.5 is better for coding. Or I'll use OpenGPT 4.1 for coding. So I think that's where it starts to really come down. But we're also going to see all these things converging, right? So we're seeing models converge. That there's no real one that's that much better at writing or this or that. And it's the same thing in the MCP world. But you have to spend time to look at who's building them, what their capabilities are, and so on. With ChatGPT, you can actually, let's do a new one. And here, when you go to the research and you go to sources and you go to connect more, right? I don't have it yet. They're rolling it out, but the connectors you can actually connect to the ones that you build, right? So, but here we see Box and Dropbox and Google and Outlook. These were not built by OpenAI. They were built by Dropbox and Microsoft and Google and by HubSpot. So those things, they want to have a good brand. They want to have a good experience. So that's why they're part of this aspect of the package. And it's going to be like adding extensions to Visual Studio Code. Which one's the best? Yeah, it's going to be up to you. When I open up my CSV file, I have something that actually makes it come out into a grid. There's a whole bunch of them, and that actually do all this kind of grid management as well as doing they can actually open up XLSXs. And so again, some of them are better than others. Microsoft doesn't have one that's particular to this. I forget which one. I use Grape Cities grid, but there's like 10, 15 of those. So all depends what you want. So it takes a little bit more work of research. And I think if people start recommending, well, this is a good one, this one is a good one, I would take that all with a grain of salt at this point. Cool. Great questions. Well, I'll be back next Tuesday. Hope to see folks. Hope this was useful. Next Tuesday, we're going to do Agents Gone Wild. So we're going to take a look at how you can have multiple agents doing a whole bunch of things. And it should be fun and all based on your prompts. Uh, so with that, if nobody has questions, I really appreciate you spending Thursday. It's almost the weekend, so go enjoy the weekend. Thank you. See you Tuesday.